So, yeah, I'm definitely getting a lot of bass. I guess this group here, I'm gonna put the EQ8 and just sort of roll some of that off. I don't think that I necessarily want that there. Maybe what I'll do is I'll load in an instrument. Make an instrument track and load an instrument in there and just try to play around with some bass, like a bass drone. Cool. Now, I like the high end coming off of that thing too.
That's a texture itself.
It definitely is. And it gives me an idea for something I want to try, which is mono stereo effect. Let's see, EQ8. It's right in front of me. I'm going to group that. I'm going to dupe that. One of these I'm going to do mono, and one of these I'm going to do stereo. But first I need to actually...
Maybe save this as a preset.
Yeah. And then let's turn these down just a little. And actually, what I'll do is I'll put a wet and dry too before I save it as a preset, because I know I'm going to want that at some point. All right, so we'll just call this mono stereo effects. Zip down, save it. So it may not sound like anything now, it probably sounds really boring, but you know, I'm convinced that I'm going to turn it into something interesting, and that's my goal. Maybe I won't get there, but we'll see. It's at least going to be fun to try. All right, so delay on the stereo. I'll actually put the delay before everything. Okay, unlink those two. Now we have really wide stereo happening here. And I think, let's see, for the mono, I'm basically going to just take one of the channels, because I think we're getting a phase out.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to basically take the left channel. There we go. It's a bit more now with the bass coming through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the overdrive on the stereo. Put another one here in the mono. Cool. Now I'm going to try to just replicate what I was just doing. Let me see. I need to put this in record mode. Let's try that again. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to modulate the drive, unlink this, give myself more time for it to happen over. Let's pull this down. Let's actually make this happen over a much longer period of time. There we go. Now we've got the stereo side. I think I put this in the overdrive in the wrong place.
I like your curiosity in here and going for something that I was not thinking.
Yeah, I think everyone should feel a sense of curiosity to just try something outlandish and new, and even if it doesn't turn out the way they originally hoped, that's still a good thing too.
We started off as a bass, and now we have a really, I don't know how to describe this, but kind of...
Yeah, it's getting a lot stranger.
In the character section, there's really nice noise and wobble.
let's definitely put some of that on there.
Yeah.
I'm still feeling the bass come through for sure. In fact, I think what I want to do with this bass is put one of those pan effects or tremolos, and let's sync it to. I'm still going back to this pulse idea, sort of a kick, more of a pulse, maybe a little bit of both. And I take the shape up. Let's see if we can bring out some of the mids in there. There we go. Obviously I'm going to pull this down so we don't get as much. Let's throw one of these EQ8s in there. Kind of like that. Well, this stereo is now dominating a bit, so I'm just going to come over here and put a utility on the end and just turn it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So what I was liking was taking this one band and kind of fading it. So I just want to animate this now. We'll keep this one locked to the beat since we're working with a rhythm structure now. Interesting. I'm going to do a double modulation trick. We'll group this, and then I'm going to map the frequency to this here. And maybe I'll just try and see what happens if I do something sort of more extreme. Maybe not much. I'll just get really expressionistic. Maybe I'll try taking this one off the grid.
You got something interesting going on when you playing with that. I don't know if you heard what I heard, but it was something kind of like really organic sounding, I think, around here when you add the loop.
Try to see if we can find that. And that's another thing is, hearing things and then trying to like hone in on them and lock in and exploit them and utilize them. And one thing I like to do is, here, I'll start this over and I'll actually hit record up here. And on this clip, I'll basically just move this kind of thing around. And do you see how the line is jumping a lot? What that's doing is, I'll hit stop, is over here we recorded, it looks like it split it up into all these.
So you're gonna consolidate that?
Consolidate, and then I'll look for this is the crazy frequency we just created by dragging the time loop frame. And then I'll just copy this. First of all, I don't need all this stuff over here. We're not ready to like commit and try to start composing. So then I'll go back over here and I'll basically just paste it. Whatever, I'll just paste it right there. So there it is. And one thing I like about automations, at least in MIDI, is of course you have these handles and you can drag stuff. You can make it really insane. But it's basically like a crazy LFO, almost like similar to a wavetable.
Like FM, almost FM sounding.
Yeah, exactly. And not all plugins sound amazing when you do this kind of thing. The EQ8 seems to hold up. You don't get too much clicks. You can hear how it's...
If you put it in over sampling, it might help.
And also, too, you could try to export this sound using the 192, the highest sampling rate possible. And you may actually get a finer, more interesting sound that way. And if you try pitching that sample down, it may actually also sound really cool, too. So, okay, I think I want to try and have some interesting textures happening on this bass. It's definitely... duplicate this and pull down the filter.
Question I have is, do you have something in mind when you're adding all that stuff, or are you kind of exploring the what if I do?
definitely exploring the what if.
More than having something in mind.
And a little bit of both. Usually I'll try to have something in mind to start, and then it becomes a lot of what if. And if I was to really want to turn this into a song, which in reality I probably would try, just to see, can I make a viable song out of this that fits my style, I might leave this out. I might leave a lot of this out. In fact, I might start the composition in the arrangement view, and then by the time the song is done, it may sound totally different, you know what I mean? I just try to be super open to whatever makes this song sound the best in the end. That's what I'm most interested in. But it's all exploration up until that point. So
Okay. Because sometimes people get in the studio and they have something, I want to do that sound. But my thinking is that the more you try to control where you're going, you are leaving on the side everything that you could potentially find.
it could be frustrating also, especially in the
yes.
beginning, when you don't get to that point and you feel like you're letting yourself down. When I don't think that should ever be a thought.
Yeah.
It should just be about exploration and fun, like you're going through a jungle of sounds or forest and just see where it leads. And you've always got the undo button, or you could say multiple versions, So I want to, actually I do have a sound that I'm hearing in my head, kind of a high-end like pulsing, like a rhythmic that's fast. It almost sounds like it could be coming from a modular synth perhaps or something.
Can I challenge you to try to make that beep 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 sort of go a little bit off, like from times to time? Like, is that something?
Yeah. I was thinking that too, because
Cool.
I'm always wanting to like try to keep things organic, evolving. When things, like this sound as it is would become so annoying so fast that anyone listening to this, as an end listener, fan or whatever, would just hate you for it, although I've heard some experimental songs just do this for like 6 minutes. I personally would kill myself if I had to listen to this for 6 minutes over and over until I called the song done.
Please don't.
But I was hearing something really high, and let me play with maybe taking the attack so that it's just almost like a subliminal chirp. And I want to play with the timing so that it's varying. I have this tool in mind.
Are you going to use the pitch envelope for the chirping?
Yeah, I think I can play with that too. Yep.
And a lot of people don't understand how it works, so you can do some pretty nice stuff. It's basically an envelope is following the incoming signal, reacting to that, and depending on how you set the envelope, then it's going to modulate a certain aspect of the sound. In this case, we're going to be modulating the pitch. So for instance, a bird chirping, it's the pitch going up,
And I could modulate this to go up and down. Because I kind of like that now that I'm playing with it. And I'll do that. So let's take a peek at the. Yeah, we're gonna keep this modulation to the beat. And maybe I'll unlink it and make it 2 so I can have it go back down. And let's try making it twice as fast. So select the whole thing, drag it here, and duplicate it. Maybe I'll make the second one not exactly the same. Let's just give it some variation.
Breaking the lines. You sometimes use the function just to make it a bit more elliptic.
Oh yeah, for sure. Alt
should I
key on
say,
here. I think it's
Not elliptic, but exponential, sorry.
Yeah. Let's do some of that.
I find that everything with exponential kind of curve brings sometimes a bit more organic feeling.
I do too. So I've dropped this tool here. It's a random delay effect. I'm just going to hear what it sounds like. I want to turn this up so we can sort of hear it.
You can solo it too.
It's true.
You forget about that. It's good to hear it in context.
maybe just a little bit. It's almost like the humanizer, but this just uses the built-in MIDI processors. So I'm going to put a random volume, and I set the velocity to changed volume at 100. So this random volume knob here will sort of... You can kind of hear the chirp too as the pitch envelope has been.
Ah.
It's almost like
that's what
bubbles.
I was here. That's what I was imagining originally. It sounds very aquatic.
And it's fun too when synths start to mirror sounds in nature. It can be kind of interesting or fun. I want to try to turn the LFO on here, and I like to play around with the high sync sometimes. You can almost get like an FM. I even want to see what will happen with a tighter. And I'm going to modulate this out velocity so that we get
put it a bit off.
Yeah, so that it does a polyrhythmic automation, if you will. I just want to play with some of these other... we might not hear anything here. Let's try white noise here. I don't really hear the white noise, to be honest. Well, maybe it adds a little bit of something. It's hard to say.
Maybe if you solo it, we'll hear it better.
It's a very subtle effect, but it creates a kind of rhythm in the high-end section that could help move the song along, if you will. Oops. So here I'm going to... yeah, sometimes I get very aggressive with my drawing automations, and it's like I don't know where I'm going to go. I'm just kind of drawing and listening, and sometimes I go too far out there, and you know, I just have to sort of start over. Or it's interesting, it sounds like your coffee maker in the morning, kind of bubbling. I'm gonna add, yeah, just a 1 beat delay to give it a bit more of like a ricochet. So that's kind of interesting, you know. Now, let's see what we got here. Let's play around with some more field recordings. I'm lowering these kind of a lot just to hear. Yeah, maybe I would want these to just the volume to kind of go in and out every now and then, because I don't want to hear them coming, like firing off all the time. So I'll modulate the clip.
It's huge, huh? It's like a 600 for that clip. I get there.
Yeah, we have Mount Everest right here, and
Twin Peaks.
yeah, for sure. It's fun to draw in here and just make weird shapes.
The visual aspect sometimes is just as important as what you hear, and I will be sometimes just shaping a bunch of things without even running the audio, and then listen to what it sounds like. And since, you know, like I know in my head a little bit, I get close to imagining, but most of the time I get happy accidents, and that's kind of what I'm after.
I think that's what mostly sound design is. Well, eventually you get to the point where you know your tools well enough that you can know what's going to happen if I put these 3 different things in with this 3 different configurations in a row, or you get some approximation of what's in your head. It is a lot of trial and error. But I want to say no such thing as errors, only happy accidents.